What's going on, everybody? Today we're going to be taking a look at these Falken Wildpeak AT3W all-terrain tires. You guys have been asking for a while since I made that KO2 video. What did I switch to? Do I like them? Are they trash? Are they good? Well, we got them right here. We're going to go over them today. We're going to review them. We're going to review a few things about them. I'm going to talk about like the tires themselves, the appearance, how they look, the size, all that kind of stuff. We're going to look at the on-road performance, the off-road performance, winter driving performance, and wet weather performance. Those are kind of the four big categories. I'm going to give a rating at the end of this video, and I'm going to give you a little hint here. I like these better. They have some good things about them, they have some great things about them, and they have some things about them where I'm kind of like, interesting. And so let's not waste too much time, guys. Let's jump right into it, and let me tell you about these. All right, so here we are. Let's start with the basics. These are a 35 by 12 and a half diameter tire, so that means they are 12 and a half across, 35 top to bottom. I've had them on my truck for about 3 months now. Appearance-wise, this is a good-looking tire. It's still aggressive. It actually has some aggressive features that I've really learned to love about it. But for the sake of this tire, it is load range E, and so it has a ply rating of E. And so it's a thick boy. It ain't light. And that's one of the things I was a little bit skeptical at first when I was looking at tires. I was like, okay, do I want a Falken Wildpeak, which I know is a little bit heavier. It is. It's about 72.7 pounds, I want to say. Whereas you can get to a Duratrack, which is a little bit lighter, also a load range E, so it's a little bit thinner. Also sidewall stuff. Not too sure how that's been fixed. There's a lot of stuff about wear with those regardless. I was looking to the Falken, but I said, man, that's a heavy tire. That was one of the things that held me back. This is 72 and a half pounds on a 35. Keep in mind, tire sizes, how much PSI you put them in, load ranges, all sorts of stuff is going to impact your tire. Also reviews, the vehicle they're on, all-wheel drive, rear-wheel drive. There's so many factors here. So this is just my impressions off of this tire itself. One of the things I love about this, it is 3-peak rated, and you can go into all that jargon and say, well, how do you get 3-peak rating, all this stuff? What that really means, it's mud and snow rated, 3 seasons, 3 peaks kind of thing. It's good all around during the year. That means the rubber's good in winter, it's also good in summer. The one thing I will say with that is this is a way better all-terrain tire than my KO2s. Previously with the KO2s, we had some issues with wet weather performance, and I just didn't feel that safe with it. This tire, I'm not too sure if it's the rubber compound, the siping, what it is. Little spoiler here, it handles way better in the winter and in wet conditions. But all that to say, if we look at the general appearance of the tire here, if you come in close, you will see that this tire, of course, quite an aggressive tread pattern. At first, I was looking online, I'm like, this doesn't look that aggressive. I want something more aggressive because tires are all about looks and not about use, right? But I realized in person these show really nicely. You have quite a built-out shoulder here. You have a nice some tread here for digging into snow, mud, that kind of stuff, rock if you're doing some crawling. But these shoulders are actually pretty built up, which is something I really appreciate about the Falken Wildpeak here. As you can see, kind of similar to like a Duratrack or a Baja Boss, or even like the new Geo 7s from Yoko. This shoulder is pretty built up, and it has kind of more of that square blockiness going up here rather than like a directional design. I don't really know the science behind that, but I have appreciated how that looks on the tire here. Going around, of course, we do see that these tires do have a pretty aggressive tread pattern where they have cuts in the center and then more of that flat dispersion on the edges for the snow, rain, all that kind of stuff. A pretty basic sipe here. You have horizontal sipes, and then you have some diagonal sipes in the middle here. They work great. I don't know what it is, I don't know why, but it works way better than my KO2s. And so let's get into the actual specifics of each condition that I've ran these in so far, and let me give you an overall view into it. And so, in terms of everyday driving, these tires have actually been pretty awesome. The road noise is a lot quieter than my KO2s. I think part of that is they don't actually hold as many rocks as pebbles in the tread. I noticed with my KO2s, I was spitting a lot of rocks all the time. And yes, I do drive down a lot of rocky alleyways, and so I can't say, I don't know why it's not picking up rocks, or why it is, blah, 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 blah. Less road noise because it's not dragging those rocks with me. It's actually spitting them out sooner, which is nice. With that being said, I feel more planted with these Falkens. Keep in mind, I did go from a 285/70 to like a 35 times 12 and a half, so that is giving us more of that contact patch on the bottom. But I will say these feel planted. That is the one thing I've noticed on the highway. I don't really have any weird tracking or anything like that. My alignment is in spec, just like it was past in the past review. The other thing, I've played around with the PSIs a little bit, and so I used to run about a 32 because I wanted to see what it like when I aired down a little bit. it was nice. I bumped it up to about a 40, equally as nice, getting a little bit more fuel efficiency. I did notice with the 32, I was not getting stuck. I didn't even have to air down much when I was going into snowy areas, and if I was doing any like light off-roading, camping stuff, sitting my PSIs at about like 26 to 32, I was actually getting pretty good contact. I wasn't too worried about anything. If I have gone like a little bit more off-road, I've aired these down. I've had no issues with gripping at all, but that's for later. On road, these have been great tires, very quiet for their size and aggressiveness of their tread. No issues at highway speeds. The one thing that I did have a little bit of an issue with, maybe it's because they're a heavier tire, was balancing them. We had to put quite a bit of weight on these, but overall, nothing has been wrong since then. And so I'm going to give these for just everyday driving, highway driving, probably a 9 out of 10. So as we just shared a little bit here, when it comes to off-roading, these tires have been great. I originally wanted to get into the Wildpeaks because of their winter performance. Everyone was saying they're pretty much a dedicated snow tire at this point, even though they're in all-terrain, just because they're so freaking good in winter. Me being in Alberta, I was like, that makes a lot of sense to me. I might as well give them a shot. But the off-road performance when we're in like mud, when we're in even just like washboard roads, a lot of dust, a lot of dirt, these things have been grippy. I have not lost traction. They've really impressed me. Keeping in mind, these aren't a mud tire. I haven't done too much that would actually call for a mud tire. I've done more so the camping, going into the mountains, getting up steep embankments, that kind of stuff, going into the back trails. Not too much rock crawling by any means. I haven't built this truck for that. It's more being an adventure rig than it has been anything else. But for the common person, if you have to go off-road in these, you're not going to get stuck. They're brilliant. Aired up, aired down. They're a fantastic tire off-road. I haven't really lost traction with them. No weird tread wear or anything like that. Off-road, they've been dependable. No punctures, no weird chipping in the rubber from rocks or anything like that. Off-road, this has been a very dependable tire. I love the aggression. I love how the sidewalls do have that extra bit of grip. I've noticed that a little bit when I've been just on the sides of embankments and stuff where I've gotten a little bit more grip there, and yeah, it's made a little bit of a difference here. I'm not fearful of these sidewalls going on me either. They are well constructed. And so off-road, I'm going to give these, just as I did the on-road, about a 9.5. Ooh, not a 9.5. About a 9, just because I don't think I've tested them enough to really say they're a 10. 9. All right, so continuing on, when we talk about wet weather performance, when I talked about my KO2s, that was my number one complaint, is that I actually did not feel my butt. It literally just froze to the ground. Is that I didn't feel safe when it came to standing water. When it came to any sort of water going in and out of the treads, I would hydroplane, wouldn't be comfortable. With these, I've had quite a bit of like rainstorms that I've driven through, and I think I'm a little bit more cautious than I've ever been just because of my experience with my KO2s. But with the Wildpeaks, their wet weather performance, I don't know if it's from the siping, what it is, but considerably better. This is one of the areas that I really wanted a tire to improve in, and so when I've had the Wildpeaks, the wet weather performance has been better. The rain has been adequately siped out of there. I'm not having those pockets where I'm hydroplaning and leaving the ground here. Quite a bit better. There are still moments when there's that wet weather where I'm getting a little bit of movement that I'd like to have nailed down, but I do have quite a bit of a heavy truck, and I do have the all-wheel drive V8 drivetrain here. And so I think in terms of what I was looking for a tire, this has delivered quite an increase in terms of wet weather performance. I feel way more planted. I feel way safer. And I'd say for about wet weather, we're probably looking at about, I'd say an 8 out of 10. I think that would be what I would give it, about an 8 out of 10. And so to continue on here, the last one we have is winter. And as I just shared, my butt literally froze to the ground because it is winter right now. And I have the truck out here in the alleyway. And how I was able to do that is because these tires are freaking incredible in winter. When it comes to slush, when it comes to powder, when it comes to ice, these tires have over-delivered. I was originally buying them because I wanted great winter performance and to get a little bit better wet performance. These tires have been fantastic in winter. There hasn't been any hesitation for me in driving them through big piles of snow, little piles of snow, highway, any sort of things to do with snow, cold weather. These Falken Wildpeak AT3Ws have performed. I will say, when I originally was looking for a tire, I wanted a tire that was going to last for a while. And I also knew that I wanted a tire that I could use in summer and winter. And if I'm being honest, the thing that these things do great is they don't give you a differing in performance in the summer and the winter. They're great on the road, they're good in mud, they're good in dirt, but their winter performance doesn't drop at all. A lot of these all-terrains, you'll see that in winter, their performance drops. When it comes to the Falken Wildpeaks, these do not drop their performance in winter. Keep in mind, I'm only a few months in. Once we get more tread wear, we might see a different story emerge, just like Duratrax KO2s when they get a little bit more worn out. You're seeing a little bit of a different tire coming out. With these, I'm pretty confident they're going to keep wearing pretty even and strong as they already have, and the winter performance is going to keep going. And so I would say for winter performance, you're looking at like a solid, once again, 9 out of 10. This is a fantastic tire. I know I've I've given it quite high ratings here, but that's for good reason. I'm not sponsored. I'm going to tell you that right now. I'm not sponsored by them by any means. I wish I was. I need a 5th one for the back. Hey, Falken, if you're listening. But all that to say, guys, fantastic tire. Feels safe. That's my biggest thing when it comes to tires. I wouldn't hesitate. I hear there might be a new version coming out soon. I don't know about that one. But when it comes to the Falken Wildpeaks, I will put these in an A tier of tires, where I'm going to put tires similar to the Duratrax, to the KO2s, and kind of like a B tier. A tier, you're looking at your Yokos, your Go7s, you're looking at your Baja Bosses, ATs, that kind of stuff. And I'm going to put those Falkens up there with there, just because they're true and tested. They are really that performance tire. They're not that generic consumer, put it on every single Jeep out there tire. These are a high performance all-terrain tire. And so, if we were to throw everything in this big old review together, in this big old overlook into these Falkens, we would find that the pros are that you have a great tire for all 3 seasons. They have that 3 peak rating, great winter tire, great dirt tire, great driving tire. Kind of does it all. Sometimes a little bit more affordable. Another pro that I would say is that they're a great looking tire. They have a really nice sidewall. I have not heard any complaints. They have really good public relations reviews. No one's out there saying the sidewalls on these, you're going to blow up like a Duratrack, blah, 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 blah. Good PR. And I think that's because a lot of people have had really good success, especially those who use their trucks in varied conditions. These have been probably seen as more of that winter dedicated tire, and I think that's where they really shine. Some of the cons, you might say, is that Falkens have got actually quite a bit more expensive over the years. That's because I think a lot of people have seen the quality. They've seen that Falken actually makes some brilliant all-terrain tires. Falkens have gone up in price. They also weigh a little bit more than competitors. Not the biggest deterrent. I think that's because they're really well built. They have that low E rating, at least for these. Doesn't worry me too much. Of course, it's unsprung weight. It's going to put more wear, but that's a decision you need to make. I think that's pretty much it for cons, I would say. I think the balancing thing could be a con. It could be my wheels. It could be my tires. For my wheels, by the way, these are KMC Lobos in -38, so we do have quite a bit of offset there. They're 9 inches wide, for those of you wondering. Kind of those are the cons, though. But anyways, guys, thanks for watching. Here's my thoughts on my Falkens. I love them. I'll be buying another set for in the future. Maybe another set. Maybe I'll go Bajas. Maybe I'll go Yokos, just because I like to mix it up. But these have not disappointed me at all yet. And so Falken definitely gets my seal of approval, and I would encourage anyone who's looking to definitely consider Falken AT3Ws. These Wildpeaks are great.